do you think?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, iRacing fans from around the world, and to our veterans and the families of our veterans, we've got a very special event out here tonight. I am Scott Kolovic. Joining me in the booth is Joel Guy. How about it, Joel Guy? You got a copy?
I have a big copy on you, Scott. Just drove in from Disney World over here to Daytona and ready to get in some good racing.
All righty, very nice. Now, tell us all about, you got about 90 seconds before we get down into qualifying. Tell us in 90 seconds or less about this very special Veterans Day event.
Well, this very special Veterans Day event is for veterans. It's to honor the veterans that have gave the ultimate price, as well as all the veterans that have gave anything to support and defend our country. We have a lot of drivers in here that have family members that are in service, serving now to protect us, as well as some retired veteran drivers in here. Myself, I was a United States Marine until I got injured and had to get out. So there's a lot of us here.
All righty, and I tell you what, we got some very special painters out there. Now, Over the Top Paints and Designs, they have gone to great extents to dress up these vehicles. We got a lot of individual painters out here tonight that have painted up, and we're going to try to get all of those vehicles in here tonight. Going to be some great racing out here, but something is a little bit different. Something is a little odd. This is not your regular old 100 lapper now, is it, Joel?
No, it is not. This is a 150 lap race, so this is a long race, an endurance race. The drivers are going to do multiple pit stops to get through this race, and it's going to be fun and exciting.
Now, how do you think those drivers are going to do out here, though, with 150 laps? Now, we're going to be looking at a 30-lap cycle, so we're going to be looking at least 5 pit stops, and these are the big boy toys. How's that going to work out tonight?
Well, we're hoping it works out real good. We won't know until it gets going how it's going to work out. But these cars don't suck up and draft the way the trucks do, so there won't be much bumper hooking because you can't get to the bumper with the draft package that you get at Daytona with the big boy cars.
All righty, copy that. Taking a look at our qualifying field out there on the front line showing his patriotic support. We have Mark Jackson with a 47.876 side by side with a military-themed M&M of Travis Browder. Sitting there in 3rd position, we've got Chris Hogue showing his support there for the military, and he is side by side with Edward Bray in the red, black, and blue, supporting all 5 branches of our troops out there. Jim Brown sitting back in 5th position, I do believe. Lee Staples, partner in crime for Black Talon, in 6th position. 7th position belonging to Donald Stewart, side by side with Ben Gear. 9th position, Lee Ryerson Jr. Lee Ryerson looking very sharp out there tonight. And in 10th position, representing Southeast Motorsports, we've got Jack Watts.
In 11th position, we have Joshua King looking good out there. 12th position is Alan Larson. I know he's got members in service. 13th position, we have Anthony Poston. 14th position, we have Michael Johnson. 15th position, we have John Woodruff looking good. And 16th position, we have Tommy Gossett. 17th position, we have Dustin Markham. 18th position, we have Jay Daggart. 19th position, we have Lloyd Saunders. And 20th position, we have Sean Dorr in the Wounded Warriors car.
Now we're going to be taking a long look at Sean Dower tonight in that Wounded Warriors. Richard Brose sitting back in 21st, side by side with Gary Whitmer. Big shout out there to Gary Whitmer Jr. in the Ranger number 5. Position 23 belonging to Ivan Garcia. Jason Russo sitting back in position 24. Cody Lipser, he'll be joining me in the booth tomorrow night for our pad race, sitting back in 25th. 27th belonging to John Henderson. James Silva in position 28. Kevin Scott Nelson sitting back in position 29, showing his support. And in 31st position, I do believe that'll actually round it up. Kevin Scott Nelson back there in the rear of the field.
Yes, it does, Scott. That's unusual that Kevin Scott Nelson's in the rear of the field, but it doesn't look like he qualified, so he must be going to play safe and start at the back and work his way to the front as we get racing.
Big shout out there to the fans out there. Becky Whitmer, Kristen Phillips, Mama Patty. Hey, Mama Patty, Kristen Phillips. We have got Mark Jackson in the red, white, and blue out there on that front line tonight, taking that pole position. Pace car is in, and away goes Mark Jackson, Travis Browder, side by side. The red, white, and blue, and the military-themed young man himself, Travis Browder, the number 18, being pushed on by the red and the blue. Edward Bray with Chris Hogue. I tell you what, let's go on and talk about that number 6 right off the bat. I know you got some information. Chris Hogue, beautiful ride right there.
Yeah, Chris is in a beautiful ride, and he also has a nephew that's serving in the military right now, Sam Hogue. So we thank Chris for his service. He is an ex-Army personnel, and his son is serving at this time.
Mark Jackson up front, support U.S. military number 3. And I tell you what, I am loving the military support out here, but Now back to the cars, and we're going to be jumping a lot of conversation topics out here because we do got 150 laps to get her done out here. So we're going to have a lot to talk about. But how important tonight is qualifying out here tonight?
Well, qualifying at super speedways is not all that important. More important to stay out of trouble if there is trouble. You can always move to the front with pit strategy. You're speaking about Mark Jackson out in the front. He has Lance Corporal Joe Burdett on the windshield in the top of his car, which has just been now diagnosed with cancer by the VA. So we're having prayers for Joe.
All righty, copy that. We do have a great screenshot of that Lance Corporal. We've also got Uncle Joe sitting back with Mama Patty. Off to a great start here. Mark Jackson sitting in second. Chris Hogue. Mark Jackson in first, Chris Hogue in second. Chris Hogue showing his support for the Army Infantry over the top paints and designs. And James Brown showing his love for Cora Championship Online Racing Association. A lot of straight line formation going on out here.
Well, these cars don't suck up good, Scott. They, drafting is at a prime at Daytona with these cars. You lose the draft and you're going to fall back quick. So they're going to try. They're going to run nose to tail for a good bit of it without a lot of passing.
Now we are working our way front to back of this field, looking at fourth position belonging to Travis Browder in the number 18 military-themed M&Ms. Never quite seen a paint job like that. Big shout out there to John Hedrick and Over the Top Paints and Designs. Red, white, and blue. Flag waving in the wind with a patriotic salute. There too, the flag done by the M&M Peanut and Chocolate Little Dark Guys. Pretty cool paint job right there by Travis, for Travis by John Hedrick.
Yes, that is a very unusual patriotic paint scheme that Travis is running.
Fifth position belonging to Donald Stewart. Now, Donald Stewart in the Navy. Hey, I could go into a little bit of a Village People and sing a little song right there, I know, talking about in the Navy by Village People, but I won't do that. But I tell you what, the number 78, Donald Stewart, Navy, working with Lee Ryerson in the number 27, Wounded Warrior. But the number 29 on that outside lane, Ben Gear, being pushed on by the red and the blue Black Talent Attack, number 66, Edward Bray. Look at that 29. What a paint job on that number 29 of Ben Gear.
Yes, Ben's got a very nice paint job on it. Ben being a retired Air Force member, and his whole family served our country. His daughter is Sue Gear was in the Navy, and his son Daniel Gear was in the Air Force. And speaking of Donald Stewart, he actually has his son-in-law Eric Timberlake that's serving on the USS Nimitz at this time.
Nice, nice. Very nice for the members of the military and their families. I myself, I've got a couple of nephews out there. One in particular, my nephew Jack. So a big shout out there to Jack. He's out there in the middle of the South Pacific, I do believe. My brother Tony was in Desert Storm. My sister Cheryl was over building schools over in Afghanistan. My mother Patricia was off there in the military, as well as my Uncle Jerry and Aunt Mary. So I myself, Joel, we come from a military-themed family. Myself, as I know that you do.
That is correct. My father was in World War II in the United States Navy. He served on the USS Cowpens, which was an aircraft carrier named after Cowpens, South Carolina.
Taking a look at the number 66. Now, Edward Bray wanted to make sure that on the side of the number 66 that he got all 5 branches of the military up onto that side of that 66. And he is looking very sharp right now in 6th position.
Yes, Edwards' car is very sharp, and Edwards a veteran as well. He was in Afghanistan working in there, as well as other locations that I don't have notes on, but he is a veteran, and we thank him for his service.
Now on the hood of that car, that Chevy SS being driven by Edward Bray, all gave some gave all. Joel, I don't know about you, but that just sends chills up my spine. But you yourself as a veteran, yeah, you probably get a little bit more chill on that than I do. But tell us a little bit about all gave some and some gave all.
Well, some gave all is the meaning of you sacrificed your life. You gave your life for the country, whether it be to battling on a ship or whatever. You were killed defending our country and our way of life, and no one should disrespect anything about our country, because when they do, they disrespect these people that gave it all, that said, I'll give my life to support what we cherish in our country as our freedoms and rights.
On the right side of Edward Bray, or on the left side, we've got Donald Stewart making his way up. Lee Ryerson now, he is in the number 27, driving the Wounded Warrior Project. Do you have some information out there about the Wounded Warrior Project, Joel?
Yes, I do, Scott. We've got 2 cars in here supporting Wounded Warriors. We have the 62 and the 27. And the Wounded Warriors is an organization that collects money and donations and helps the wounded warriors that come back that are physically disabled to learn to work and use their prosthetic devices, as well as assist them in getting homes and getting homes designed where they can get around in that home with their disability that they received while they were serving our country.
Nice, nice. And and we're also not, we're just not talking about the physical disabilities. The things, as you said, some gave all, we're also talking the mental strain put out there by what these heroes did for us, protecting our freedom.
Absolutely, we're talking about that. The mental stress that you go through while you're serving your country, and some of the things that you have to go through that I've heard from others that were actually in combat talk about. You don't forget that stuff. That stuff lives with you forever, and it takes a toll on a person's life forever. So any kind of help we can contribute to making their life better is more than, not even enough for what they did, but it's more than what most would do.
Number 88 of Dustin Markham sitting back in 10th position, battling it up with Southeast Motorsports' Jack Watts. Dustin Markham showing his support there for the National Guard. Looking very sharp out there in the Chevy SS. And the number 88 even, 88 National Guard, Dustin Markham. And that is the first pack, positions 1 through 11.
Yeah, and the National Guard, everybody thinks, the National Guard, all they do is they used to be called what we call weekend warriors. They go out and play Army or Air Force or whatever on weekends, and that's not a true story anymore. There's more National Guard and reserve units that were sent overseas during Afghanistan and Iraq War than there has been off the face of the United States in a long, long time.
Number 13, Lowe's. Anthony Poston, position 12. showing his sport with the red, white, and blue. Lowe's Power of Pride. Cody Lipster in the red, gray, and white, number 96, coming out of retirement for tonight. Loving the sparkle on those rims right there. And Lloyd Sanders showing his sport tonight in the number 1 Ford Fusion, looking very sharp out there. Looking like a flag waving in the wind at 200 miles an hour, being pushed on by Jason Russo. Big shout out there to Lloyd Saunders out of Canada. A little bit of a rear-end collision there by Jason Russo. That'll slow you down a little bit. No caution, though, but John Henderson having to do a major checkup, and that'll put John and Jason side by side. Drop it on back to Tommy Garrett in the number 30, position 17, and Gary Whitmer Jr. Wow, what a ride right there by Gary Whitmer Jr. Tell me all about that number 5 Ranger, Gary Whitmer Jr.
Well, Gary Whitmer Jr., he has a beautiful ride that he supports the Rangers because he was a Ranger from what I understand, and that's what it's about. The drivers that were in service are supporting the branch that they were in.
And I'm telling you what, we are circling around the car, looking at the hood, loving the paint job. Got a skull, got the guns, got the snake. Well, I tell you what, this ride is just right up KMA's alley. A little bit of an aerial view up there. GW Graphics, our Monday night sponsor. Now, Gary Whitmer already moving his way up the field. Big shout out there to Over the Top Paints and Designs, John Hedrick. Tell you what, just about everybody we look at tonight, John Hedrick. So got to give John Hedrick and Over the Top Paints and Designs, because he has once again done an over-the-top job. Check him out on Facebook at the Paint Shop. Gary Whitmer right now in 16th position. Kevin Scott Nelson sitting back in 18th position as we work our way through the field. The Marines, the few, the proud. Now, Kevin Scott Nelson showing his support for the Marines. You were a Marine, were you not?
I was a Marine. You never were a Marine. You are a Marine.
I stand corrected, good sir.
For life. That is something that's inbred in you at basic training, that once you graduate and they call you a Marine at basic training, you are a Marine for life. It's not something that comes and goes.
Nice. The few, the proud. Nice paint job there. And again, got the Wounded Warrior Project on the rear end of that Chevy SS. Now, Kevin Scott Nelson, we predict Kevin Scott Nelson for a very good finish out here tonight. He's one of those drivers that likes to hang out back here in the rear of the field. Just going to take it easy, get through those green flag pit stops. In the last 20, 30 laps, that is when he's going to make a go. Moving on back through that field, John Henderson in the Castrol Toyota sitting in position 19th. Joshua King, boy, you can't miss out on that number pink 35. Let's take a little roll around that number 35.
You definitely can't miss that color, that's for sure.
No particular theme on the number 35, but still very nice ride. Richard Brose sitting back in position 21, started 21, so Richard Brose doing a good job. And the number 117 of John Woodruff in position 22, and Michael Johnson with PSI and pad near the rear of the field in position 23. And now Michael Johnson is 4.7 seconds back. And we've got 3 more drivers to take a look at. Jay Dargett, 10 seconds back in the number 22 Mastercraft. The number 9, Alan Larson, representing Max Mount. And Ivan Garcia in the rear of the field, 11 seconds back in the number 72. Now, real quick, got to get a plug in for pad. Got to get a plug in for Max Mount. Tomorrow night, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have our monthly Race 4 pad. And Max Mount, hands-free device. You put your phone in it, put it up there on your dash, and you are safe and sound.
Yeah, those max mounts are nice mounts to hold any size phone on your dash and not have to be playing with it while you're driving, which is what PAD is about. People against distracted driving. We don't want people driving, just like we don't want to be driving on the racetrack distracted. We don't want people out on the streets driving distracted, messing with their telephones, texting, or messing with the radios and stuff like that. They need to pay attention to driving when they're driving.
Copy on that. Mark Jackson, our current race leader. And I tell you what, these drivers are long, stretched out, big straight line formation. Not a lot of, don't even think we've had one lead change. Mark Jackson has led 22 laps so far out here tonight. 22 of 150.
Yeah, like I said, 150 laps. You got to have multiple green flag pit stops. There's no need to start mixing it up, because number of laps don't count for anything. The only thing that counts is that last lap. So who's leading for the first 125 laps means nothing. Who leads that last 5 laps, that's the person that makes it.
Absolutely correct information on that one there. Mark Jackson, Chris Hogue, James Brown, Travis Browder, Ben Gear. We are on lap 23. Drivers need to be contemplating green flag pit stops. Now, once we get in and out of green flag pit stops, I hear tell, you've got a lot of individual information about several of these drivers. And we're going to take it up with that, but we should be getting into some green flag pit stops in about 7 laps at about 6.5 minutes. Tell us about the ins and outs of pit row here, Joel.
Well, getting on the pit road, you coming down from close to 200 mile an hour, you got to get down to 65 mile an hour or 60 mile an hour to get on pit road. And that's a big jump. So getting on pit road is not the easiest thing in the world to do. You've got to get on the brakes hard, but not lock the wheels up. You've got to downshift and get that car down as quick as possible. Of course, at the same point, you want to do that as short a time as you can to make time on pit road. So you don't want to start stopping while you're going into turn 3. You want to start slowing down when you come off of turn 4. So you got a very short space there to do that in. And if you don't do it right, you can end up in the wall or end up in the grass.
Drivers doing a very good job out here tonight in the big boy cars. Now, oddly enough, these are the most powerful vehicles that we do run out here. But oddly enough, we actually are notorious for going caution-free in the big boy toys, and that has a lot to do with that outside draft just kind of falling apart. Talk to us about that.
Well, it has to do with the draft package that NASCAR mandates on these cars. The cars won't the term we use, suck up. They won't get on each other's bumper to where you can create a train of 2 or 3 cars close enough together that you block all air going around the 2 in the middle, so that you're like a bullet. The only thing that's breaking wind is the front car, so the other 2 are pushing the front car on further down the track. And that's why these cars, you can go green flag with caution free. I can tell you right now, though, coming off of pit road, if you don't take on 4 tires, you take 2, you got to be careful and not spin it. And we have the 3 car sliding sideways going on to pit road at this time.
Did get that 3 car sliding sideways. That will be the number 3 of Mark Jackson. Number 96, Cody Lipster in pit row, as well as Jason Russo. Nope, Jason Russo staying out. Chris Hogue into pit row in the United States Army. Joshua King into pit row. John Woodruff, collision on pit row between the number 9 and the 117. Alan Larson getting into John Woodruff, and John Woodruff is completely sideways. Well, that's not how you park a Chevy in pit row. Tough break there for the 117. Ivan Garcia making his way out of pit row. Mark Jackson on his way out of pit row. Jay Dargett making his way out of pit row. So green flag pit stops indeed here with 122 laps to go. Travis Browder getting out there on that front line, blowing past the drivers that just did pit. So Travis Browder, Ben Gear, Edward Bray should be our next round of green flag pit stops. That'll divide. There he goes, number 18. Number 18 into pit row on lap 28. Talk us along with Travis as we're riding along with Travis.
Travis is usually the one that pits good. He goes into pit road real good. He can get on pit road and off pit road excellently. He's got the knack for it. He also will probably only take 2 tires. He might take 4, but probably just 2, and fuel and get back out. But he'll stay with the group that he went in on, hopefully.
Travis Browder, first driver out of pit row in that group. Donald Stewart, in-car camera with Donald Stewart. Now we got rules about this little pit row thing. You got to stay below that yellow line till you're onto the flat of that back. Let's see how well Donald and Travis adhere to that rule, because just like the military, ooh, a little bit of an early entry up by Donald and Travis. Were they legal right there? They were pushing it.
They were pushing it, and that'll be up to the admins in the room to determine whether or not they were far enough along.
Well, I'm pretty sure the admins had their hands full with their own pit stops, but Edward Bray, sitting back there, had a clear view of it. Don't think Edward Bray's really going to worry about it too much right now. Edward Bray in 5th position as they come around pit row. Here comes another driver. We'll see if he stays down, as Edward Bray's got a clean shot. Driver is staying down. Green flag pit stops here, and we are on lap 30, 1/5 of the way through in our Salute the Troops 150. Lee Staples, our front runner, as Travis Browder actually will take that lead.
Yeah, Travis and Donald's hooked up tighter than, of course, Lee was by himself, but here comes Lee's partner, Edwards, so he'll let him get tied up with them so that he can pull them along.
Now, Edward Bray and Lee Staples, they are partners in crime, if you will, part of Black Talon. Black Talon is the team that is putting on tonight's show. Now, funny little story here, Joel. Edward originally came to me. He wanted me to put this on. Originally wanted 200 laps. And I said, well, I'll tell you what, that we're looking at about a 4.5 hour broadcast right there. And it's not that the drivers couldn't do it. I wasn't sure I could sit in this chair right here for 4.5 hours, but I tell you what, this night it is going very fast as Edward Bray goes side by side with Donald Stewart and Travis Browder. And I tell you what, we got a race right here, Joel.
Yes, we do, and I'm surprised, but Lee didn't get hooked on to Jack Watts in the 77 to make it a three car draft.
No, he did not. So this is Edward Bray, Jack Watts against Travis Browder, Donald Stewart. Going to be some good racing right here for position 1. But Lee Staples, he is 1.2 seconds back, 1.3. I fear that Lee Staples has lost that tailwind of Jack Watts. Now, what do you do if you're in this position? If you're up there, Edward Bray, you're separated from your teammate, your good friend, your best friend. He's separated by Jack Watts. Lee Staples now at 1.6 back. Should he have gone back?
At this point in the race, I wouldn't. This point in the race, you draft with anybody you can to stay in the draft. At the end of the race is when you want your teammates, because that's when everybody's going to try and team up to each other and push one of either themselves, get themselves pushed to the win, or they're going to push somebody to the win. That's when teammates make a difference. Right now, it's just a matter of staying with the pack and staying with the draft.
Big shout out there to the fans on the KM8 TV chat. John Hedrick joining us. John Hedrick asking about Mark Jackson. Mark Jackson sitting back in 20th. He did pull off a P1 position. Unfortunately, underneath the first round of green flag pit stops, Mark Jackson getting a little sideways. Now, we all like to get a little sideways here and there, but not in pit row. Mark Jackson did get sideways, and that did cost him a little bit of time, but Mark Jackson leading the most laps out here tonight with 26, but unfortunately, he is 17.1 seconds, 17.8 seconds back off of our race leader, Gary Whitmer Jr. Doing a check-in on Gary Whitmer Jr. in that Chevy SS Ranger. Position 10, 1.8 back. Lloyd Sanders in the thick of things in position 5, but our race leader is indeed Travis Browder in the over-the-top Toyota Camry, M&M military-themed Mr. Travis Browder, Tebow himself.
Yeah, Tebow's in the lead. Now, the reason Mark got sideways on pit road, he come in a little hot, and he locked his brakes up. So it was just a driver error that caused him to do that. More that he got knocked out or anything.
Well, he's not out of it yet, Joe.
Oh,
not with 150 laps.
Just like we were talking about Lee Staples. Well, Lee's back with the front pack now because he caught on to Jason Russo, James O'Brien, and Cody Slipster and hooked up with them, and they're all in the lead pack now.
Caution free out here.
Okay, we have first car going to lap down. It looks like Ivan Garcia is going to get lapped by the leaders. So he's staying high, which is what you're supposed to do. And the lead pack is going by him, freight training by him like he's sitting still, which in actuality he is compared to the speed that they're running. Travis is still in the lead. We have Donald Stewart in second place and Edward Braze in third. About 2 car lengths back is Jack Watts in the 77, with Lloyd Sanderson about a car length behind him, and about half car length behind him is 96, then James O'Brien, Brown, then Lee Staples, and after Lee Staples is Jason Trusso. That's the front pack.
Side-by-side action with lap traffic of Ivan Garcia and number 5 Ranger Gary Whitmer Jr. Now what Ivan needs to do though, once he gets up there to speed, we want him to race. We definitely want him to race. He's down.
Absolutely, we want him to race, and he's got. If we do have a caution, he'll get, as long as he's the first car lead lap down, he's going to get the lucky dog and get to go all the way around this 2.5 mile track and get back on the lead lap. And racing with the pack is not a problem as long as he's up to speed. If he's not up to speed, he shouldn't be in the pack, but he's up to speed, so just race cautiously to stay the first car lap down, and hope that somebody causes a caution. Well, not that you want any cautions, but that's what Ivan's got to hope for.
Now, something I'm seeing right now, Joel. Just a few minutes ago, we were single file racing. Now, we're double file racing. What's the changing factor right there? Why are these guys doubling up with still well over 75 laps to get her done?
They're trying to figure out if there's a way that they can get to the front on the outside line, and how many cars it's going to take to create the train that it takes to get to the front.
They're trying to figure it out, or are they getting antsy?
No, they're just trying things to see what they can do to get to the front, so when it's time to go, they know what they can do. They're just testing the waters on their cars. They're not really getting antsy because they're not side drafting real tight on each other. If they were side drafting door handle to door handle on each other, then that's antsy. That's where they're getting antsy. They're just trying to see if they can get that outside line to move to the front.
All right, I'm going to take your word for that. Now, you had said you got some information about a few drivers. I'm pretty comfortable enough to talk about that information. Tell me where to go and who we're going to talk about.
Well, let's go to Mark Jackson's car, the 3 car, and we'll talk about his uncle that's just been diagnosed with cancer a little bit.
Alrighty, we're on Mark Jackson. Tell me all about it.
Okay, Joe Burdett was Lance Corporal, and the VA, which is, they do their best, but they're not the best in the world for diagnosing things like cancer, and they've just now diagnosed him with cancer, and that's a shame that it's taken them this long to diagnose it. And they give him about 6 months to live, so we're giving prayers for Lance Corporal Joe. I feel for Mark and his family on this deal, because cancer is something that nobody wants to talk about, and for the VA to take this long, that's a shame. That's really a shame, and shows the quality of service that the veterans get. We don't get the top-rated surgeons, the top-rated doctors when you go to a VA hospital. You get doctors that get paid very little because they're they're federal government employees. They're not like regular doctors that make millions and millions of dollars working their own practices, and so they misdiagnose things quite often. Oh, absolutely. If you can get 4 drivers that you know how they drive, what lines they take, so that you can stay directly behind them the whole time and not drift in and out, you're going to make up time on that pack, because that pack's going to kind of snake down the straightaway, because every driver in that pack is not familiar with every driver's technique or every driver's driving style and the lines that they take. Donald Stewart's got a family member, Eric Timberlake, who's actually on the USS Nimitz, believe it or not, and that's one heck of a aircraft carrier that he's on. He's serving. He's a petty officer, first class, and is actually deployed at this moment. Now we also have Joe Silva. Okay. All right. That is an aircraft carrier. That probably is the USS Nimitz, if I know Donald Stewart. Hey, that ship, they don't call them boats in the military. They call them ships, and that ship could hold just the landing deck on it is big enough to put a couple of football fields on. I don't know exactly how many football fields, but you can put a couple of football fields on the deck. No, Air Force One could not land on that. Well, it's big enough for Air Force One to sit on, but Air Force One don't have a tail hook and can't stop in a few feet, nor can it take off via catapult in a few feet and get airborne. It takes more distance for that aircraft to take off and land than an aircraft carrier has. Yeah, Joe Silva, he has his son, Sergeant Austin Silva, that's serving right now. I don't have any other information on Joe. Next car I want to talk about is the 29 of Ben Gear. Ben's retired United States Air Force. His whole family has served our country. Sue Greer, his daughter, was in the Navy, and his son Daniel Gear was in the Air Force. So that's one whole two generations that has served our military and served our country. And I thank him and his whole family for their service to our country. I'm not seeing that, Scott. Is it on the rear or the back of the... Okay, that probably, from what it looks like he took the the emblem that's usually on the front of the A-10 Warthog, which is a weird name for an aircraft, but believe me, anybody on the ground that hears or sees one of them things coming, they are happy as a lark, because that is the A-10 Warthog is what they call a tank killer. That thing will destroy a Sherman tank or a German tank or any tank, and it's got a unique sound to it when they fire that. I think it's, if my memory's correct, 40 millimeter cannon gun that has rotating barrels that it will almost back the plane up. It fires so fast.
Copy that. Good information right there. And another outstanding paint job there done by John Hedrick and Over the Top as they whisk by 004, pad endorsed of Michael Johnson. And this is Ben Gear that we are looking at in the United States Air Force. Love it. I tell you what, I am feeling awful patriotic tonight. Now, Joel, we initially wanted to do this race next weekend, but we knew that a lot of families out here would be with their own families celebrating their own holiday, which is why we are doing this up a week early. And I think we did make the right decision on that. But Ben Gear right now in position 15th onto the rear end of Jay Dargett. Jay Dargett pushing hard on Mark Jackson. Mark Jackson, position 13, 23 seconds back. And he is gaining ground. Big shout out there to this small little group consisting of Anthony, Ben, Jay, and Mark. 23 seconds back. Gaining rapidly on Richard Brose, flying by himself.
Yeah, but they'll probably pick Richard Brose up because 5 will go faster than 4 do.
Well,
the more cars you got, the faster you can get.
Well, we are 1/3 of the way through tonight's race. Travis Browder out there on that front line, leading 27 laps, passing up Mark Jackson by 1 lap. And I tell you what, Gary Whitmer went to a lot of trouble to put on some great commercials. We're going to take a look at one of those 3 commercials. We'll be right back with you here in about 30 seconds, Joel.
Okay.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, riding along with Travis Browder just in time for a round of green flag pit stops with Travis Browder and Donald Stewart. Well, that worked out just hunky-dory, didn't it, Joel?
Yes, it did, Scott. While we were at break, the 96 and the 1 pitted, and they took right side tires and fuel.
Alrighty, so this is our second round of green flag pit stops. We are caution-free In the Salute the Troops, 150. Watching Travis Browder in the number 18 make his way out of pit row. Now, while we are riding along with Travis Browder, I want to talk about that commercial that we just saw, Joel. I know you were keeping your eyes on it. Now, we mentioned earlier that Edward Bray made sure that he showed all 5 of the military emblems. But in some of these commercials, I actually saw a couple of more, one of them being the POW, MIA. Military's got more than 5 emblems out there. You as a veteran, talk to us about the many, many types of flags, the many types of decorations that we'll see out there.
Well, the military, they create a medal or a ribbon for every conflict to signify. When you see a military person that has a chest full of ribbons, he's been in combat. He's been in a lot of combat, because each one of those ribbons stands for a combat condition. They have a lot of different organizations. MIA and POW, they are not military, they are military related. That stands for prisoners of war or missing in action, and that's support groups that are supporting the families of prisoners of war or missing in action military personnel that have not returned home.
All righty, good information right there. Lloyd Sanders in the number 1 USO. Now, we haven't talked about the USO. Lloyd Sanders representing the USO. Tell us about that.
Well, USO is an organization. It's not military based. It's a private organization that supports the military by putting on USO shows to entertain troops overseas and in combat locations in the rear areas, not up front on the front lines. But it's a private organization, and they girls will join it, and at dances they'll dance with the military personnel, whether they know them or not, just to give them some kind of friendly companionship for a few minutes or hour or whatever. And it's a very good organization. It was real big during World War II. I have pictures where my father was in USO organization settings, and young girls were there just to greet them and to talk to them and give them some friendly companionship for a little while they were there. So it's a very, very good organization that supports the military.
All righty, copy that. Good information. Have you got any more good information about any of our drivers out here tonight? We are looking at the number 224 Wounded Warrior Project Marine of Kevin Scott Nelson. He is in 29th. No, he's in 11th. Started 29th. 11 seconds back. Going to be helping out Gary Whitmer. And the lap traffic of the 117, I do believe. John Woodruff in the 117. Now, unfortunately, John is 2 laps down, getting up into that high line. Gary Whitmer not trying to run the 117 out of his way, leaving a big gap. Plenty of room for him to come down, but not so sure that the 117 wants to play right now. 117 way up, out of that way. So that'll allow Gary Whitmer and Kevin Scott Nelson to get hooked up. 2 drivers running for the KMA League. So let's see what Gary Whitmer and Kevin Scott Nelson can get her done. But I'll tell you what, they have got 13.8 seconds to get her done. to get caught back up here in the Smith Troops 150.
Yeah, the 117 car, he just wanted to lead cars. He's 2 laps down. He wanted to lead cars to be together and him not be impacting them. So he just pulled up and let Gary get in front of him. And now he's tucked up to the back of them and helping push them towards front.
Travis Browder out there leading 34 laps. Donald Stewart very content, along with James Brown, Jack Watson, Edward Bray. And I tell you what, Joel, they're just riding straight line formation. Now, as pretty as the Army can march, as pretty as the Navy can sail, these drivers out here stay in really straight line formation. Now, if we were in the trucks, we'd probably be at least 4 cautions deep in. What do you think?
Probably so, because like I say, the trucks you can draft up and actually bump bumpers. The Xfinity cars you can draft up and bump bumpers. But this package that NASCAR gives you for the Cup cars, it lets you draft, but it don't let you bump draft. You cannot get to the bumper. The only way they're going to get to the bumper of each other is they're going to do a little terminology routine called trail braking. And what that is the lead car will drag the brakes a little bit and let the other car come up and touch him, and once he touches him, he gets off the brakes and they'll stay together.
Well, look at this though. Look at this. Edward Bray. Edward Bray, Jason Russo making a move on Travis and Donald. I'm guessing Edward Bray got bored right there. What do you think?
He might have got bored, or he might have got hot. If he got hot, then he got out front to cool his engine down. And there again, he might decide he wanted to lead a while since he was putting the race on.
Well, he is clear. He is clear. Staying outside.
I don't think he'll leave Jason.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think he'll leave Jason. If the 2 of them get clear, he'll pull down. But if the 2 of them can't get clear, I don't think he'll leave Jason anytime soon.
All righty, I tell you what now. Well, oh no, there he goes.
He just called me a liar because he just took it.
Oh, and look at how far back Jason Russo loses that time. But now he's coming back with Dustin Markham.
Yeah, that's the problem. When one pulls out and makes that hole bigger on the outside, the air hole bigger that you're braking, it's like putting out a parachute on the cars behind you.
Big shout out there to Becky Whitmer talking about quilting, making her thirsty in the off nights when we're not broadcasting. But I tell you what, Joel, I'm thirsty myself, but I am thirsty for information. I want to hear more about the military while we are running around this 2.5 mile speedway. If you were to give a young man or a woman advice in today's day and age about joining the military, which direction would you send that young man or woman? And I know you're partial to the Marines. I
would probably send them in technology fields. Unfortunately, unless you go to officers candidate school, or you go to you sign up for 4 or 6 years, you can't specify your field of expertise that you want to get into.
Well, I mean so far as opposed to the Navy, the Army, the Marines, Coast Guard.
For the safeness of it, I'd say either the Air Force or the Navy.
Okay.
Marines are going to be you're going to be in combat in the Marines on land. You're going to be in combat on land, hand to hand with the Army. Those 2 branches are the 2 branches that fight hand to hand. But that's the most dangerous branches you can get in.
Okay.
Now, that being said, the Marine Corps, you can get some very nice and plush jobs in the Marine Corps if you apply yourself and you make yourself the best of the best. You can either go to the White House and be White House Marine Corps Guards. You can go to an embassy, and when you go through embassy training, they teach you how to wine and dine. They teach you which fork you use, how to dance, all this stuff that you would do at embassy functions, so that you portray what the excellence that is the American military. They don't let you go in there and eat like redneck eats on Sunday with your fingers, taking chicken bone and taking it in your fingers and gnawing all the meat off of it. That won't fly at an embassy. You're taught to eat the proper way, the proper etiquettes, everything if you get an embassy duty job. Embassy duty job is a great job, however, it takes a lot.
Caution is out. Now, I do believe that did involve the number 3 of Mark Jackson. Mark Jackson getting a little bit into the number 27, and then the number 29 not able to back off in time and sending Mark Jackson to the right. Does appear that Mark Jackson will be, a little bit of a nick there by Michael Johnson. So Mark Jackson and Michael Johnson involved in our first caution of the night. But I tell you what a run out here tonight. Halfway point. We are at the halfway point underneath our first caution of the night. Tough break for Mark Jackson.
Also a tough break for Michael Johnson. He was the first car lap down, but he's got involved, so he won't get Lucky Dog. It'll be Chris Hogue that gets it.
All right, but I tell you what, I think after 74 laps, few of these drivers might be thanking goodness that this late, it's not even a late caution, it's a midpoint caution. A couple of these drivers might need a little bit of a breather right now.
I'm sure they're needing a breather. They've been driving now for 70-some laps, and it's testing on your nerves to be that close to another car and trying to stay off of them and not get into them for that many laps. So they're doing what they need to do to stay there where they're at.
Alrighty, I tell you what, going to give us a chance to talk to our host with the most, Edward Bray, underneath our first caution of the night. How about it, Edward Bray? Have you got a copy?
I got a copy, Scott.
All right, Edward Bray, talk to us, sir, about anything on your mind, and a big thank you for putting on the Salute the Troop 150.
It's my pleasure, Scott. This is a good race for all the veterans that have given their lives, served, and still serving.
Now, looking at the hood of your car, some gave all gave some. Tell us about your military experience, Ed.
Joined the military, the U.S. Army back in 1992. Was communication specialist and combat lifesaver. Got out in 97 due to an injury during some training, and been supporting the military in my own way here and there. Spent 6 years over in Afghanistan, making sure that all the armed services was taken care of by all contractors.
Alrighty, how have the guys been out here on this track? We've seen some single file stuff, and then all of a sudden you went double file there with Travis, and Joel said, "Nah, he's not going to dump Jason," and then all of a sudden you dumped Jason, got down in front of Travis. What was going on right there?
A little strategy that Jason and I were trying and discussing, and actually that was planned for me to come down, and Jason was hoping that the same strategy was going to work with Dustin, but evidently it didn't, and then we had a caution, so I figured the two of them was going to hook up and get things rolling, but didn't work out with that caution.
All right, do you think the second half of the race is going to go as well as the first half?
I do believe so, Scott. Only complaints out of the driver so far is the draft package. Other than that, the cars are running fine. Everybody's having a lot of patience, but it's being right on the tail end of the car in front of you. So I'd see the rest of the race going green flag.
All righty, copy that. And again, thank you for your service, sir.
Thank you, Scott, and a big shout out to all the other veterans out there.
Okay, that was Edward Bray, and he said thank you for his service. We'll go to Donald Stewart and talk to him. Donald Stewart, Joel Guy, you got a copy?
Yes, sir, Joel. I got you. How you doing?
I'm doing just fine. Tell us about your service member that's on the USS Nimitz.
Well, his name is Eric Timberlake, and I got him on a windshield tonight. He's a petty officer first class on the USS Nimitz, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe they're deployed over there in North Korea right now.
So he's on standby over in North Korea, waiting for that rocket man to make a stupid move.
Well, let's hope he doesn't do that, but I believe that's the situation. Yes, sir.
Well, definitely we thank him for his service, being there ready to protect our rights and our liberties that we hold so dear here in the United States.
Absolutely.
Now, see, y'all fixing to go green, so we'll get you back down where you can get back to racing.
Okay, buddy. Hope to see you in Victory Lane. I'm going to bring it home for Kevin. For Eric, I'm sorry. His brother's name's Kevin. I'm going to bring it home for Eric.
Roger that.
All righty. So, great race so far. Lap 77 of 150. 73 to go. What are you thinking, Joel, right now at the halfway point?
Still got a lot of racing to go. Still got some more green flag pit stops to go. I don't think the drivers are going to get real antsy yet. I think they're going to stay in a pack and stay close to the front, but I don't think you're going to see a lot of shuffling of positions.
We are back to green flag racing. James Brown leading 4 laps side by side with Jason Russo. Edward Bray down onto that inside lane. Dustin Markham up there in front, along with Travis Browder, Donald Stewart, Lee Staples. Now, a few drivers definitely glad to see this caution come out. One of those drivers, Lloyd Saunders, very glad to see the caution come out, along with Gary Whitmer and Ben Gear and Jay Dargett.
Yeah, they were pretty far back, so this caution allows them to pull back up to the pack. If they were smart, they went on pit road and got fuel and tires and come back out, because now that they're with the pack, they got fresh, and if they've got fresh rubber, they'll run faster than the cars that stayed out and didn't get rubber.
And we are still looking at 17 drivers on this lead lap. Jack Watts being that 17th driver, Ivan Garcia being the number 1 lap down vehicle. So this front pack, ladies and gentlemen, that's all lead lap traffic. And that is a ton of big boy toy right there.
Absolutely, that's a lot of cars on lead lap. And right now, with as many laps as there is to go, I wouldn't even begin to think to pick a winner out of that 17, because any one of those 17 can win.
Jason Russo leading his second lap, getting around 0-0. James Brown with the number 88, Dustin Markham on that outside. Edward Bray still putting on a good show on that inside lane.
Yeah, Edwards just...
He's riding. He's riding.
He's sitting there running laps.
He ain't in no hurry.
He's not in one bit of a hurry.
All right, so if you need to pick a driver, fans, ladies and gentlemen, I want to hear it from you on that KMA TV chat. Go on and take your pick, ladies and gentlemen. No prizes on the line, so it's okay if 2 or 3 people pick the same driver. I'm going to throw my pick out there, and I tell you what, I'm going to move to the Hornets' nest, and I'm actually going to pick Kevin Scott Nelson for the win tonight. Right now, he's in 10th position. He's back there into 11th position at the moment. He's got Gary Whitmer behind him. He's got Mark Jackson to his left, along with Lloyd Sanders. So I don't know if anybody out there is going to agree with me or not, but I'm picking Kevin Scott Nelson for the win. What do you think, Joel?
It's too early for me to pick. I don't gamble with unknown odds, and right now the odds are unknown because you got 17 capable drivers of winning, and too many laps to go to throw a name out as to who's going to win, because anything can happen at Daytona. We have not had a big one yet, and let's hope.
I don't think we're going to see it.
We don't, but we could.
I don't think we're going to see it.
Well, I'm hoping we don't see it, but you know, Murphy's Law says what can go wrong will go wrong.
Jason Russo out there on that front line in the over-the-top paints and designs. KMA Pro Automotive. Number 14, Chevy SS, James O'Brown. Titan toe, but not too Titan toe. Big shout out there to James O'Brown and the Sunday Money Series. Edward Bray in 3rd position, representing Black Talon Racing. Right along, straight line.
Like I said, they're straight line. You got 4 cars on the outside line. They're trying to move forward, but nobody's really up. We just got another caution because somebody hit the yellow line.
All right, trying to figure out what exactly happened here. Looking at the number 29 and the number 27. All right, keep your eyes on the number 29 and the number 27 and the number 29, 27. I can't tell exactly what happened. Really don't care exactly what happened. But you're right. A couple of drivers right there flirting with it. And I just said that we were not going to have the big one. There's the big one. What do you think?
Let's hope that's the only big one we have. And that was caused because the 29 and the 27 both got on the yellow line, and the 27 started a little wiggle, and the 29 was on top of him and just sent him on around.
Well, I tell you what, like they say, cautions do breed cautions.
That's a sure fact.
But now, interesting situation right here for our front runners, because, they just were into pit row, 9 laps ago. So if you're up there, if you are in Jason Russo, the number 14, is it time to go back into pit row right now?
Absolutely not. Not without 9 laps on your tires and 9 laps of fuel. I mean, you can, but out front is where you want to be at Daytona, or either in the very back where you can make moves without somebody being on top of you.
But he
you
is.
Don't want to get stuck in the center.
But he is indeed going into pit row.
Yeah, but it looks like everybody's going on pit road. All the lead cars are going down pit road.
Well, when in Rome, do as the Romans do.
That's right. I mean, if one car commits to pit road, you've got to go too. If you're in the same lead group that they are, if you don't, you're going to get shuffled out of that group and shuffled to the back into the hornet's nest in the middle of the pack.
Hanging on to the rear end of the number 5, Gary Whitmer Jr. I want to hear all about this Ranger car as soon as we get Gary Whitmer back up onto that track. Right now he is exiting pit row, staying below that yellow line. Good formation. Doing a great job out here tonight. Currently is into 12th position underneath our second caution of the evening. Let's see what Gary Whitmer has on his mind as we are on lap 86 of 150. How about it, Gary? Have you got a copy?
I got you, Scott.
All right, what's on your mind right now? 2 back-to-back cautions, but man, they've been a long time coming.
Yeah, they have. It's been a good run. What was it, 75 laps, green flag pit stops. It's been a good run so far up until now.
All righty, we get into that breeding caution stuff. Talk to me about the Ranger.
The Ranger U.S. Army Ranger was painted by Over the Top Paints. This paint scheme was a surprise to me by John Hendrick. I waited too late to request a paint scheme, and he sent this to me as a surprise.
Now, have you got any military experience yourself, Gary?
I got military in the family, but nobody that I know of that's in the military at the present time.
All right, well, talk to us about the little bit that you do know about.
I had my uncle, which is my mom's brother, Wayne, was in, actually, I think he was in all 4 armed forces years ago. I think all of our brothers was in the Army at one time.
Nice, and I tell you what, you have been picked for the win by Mom Whitmer. So bring her home, Gary. What's on your mind for the remaining 63?
Just try to keep this car close to the front, not all the way up front, but close to the front and be there at the end.
So are you where you want to be right now in 11th position with 63 to go?
What was that? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
With 63 to go, you're in 11th position. Is that where you want to be?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, right in the middle. Close top 10.
All righty. Good luck to you, Gary.
All right. Thanks, Scott.
All right. Gary Whitmer out there doing a great job. Travis Browder out there on that front line. Travis Browder, always a hoot to talk to. How about it, Tebow?
Scott, how are you tonight?
I'm good. Travis, how are you, sir?
Doing pretty awesome tonight. How's it going?
Good. Talk to me about the Camry.
Over the Top Paints and Designs, John Hendrick, M&M's Salute the Troops paint scheme is really good. I got it from him tonight. Looks really, really amazing on the track. We're doing a different strategy out here tonight with fuel mileage, so we just only ran 5 laps on the run, so we'll see what happens.
All righty. Now, you've led the most laps out here. Are you going to plan on sticking it out there in the front, dropping to the back? What are you doing?
Track position is everything, Scott, so we'll see what happens here as we got almost 60 laps remaining.
All right, now we are doing a military race tonight. Now, I know you yourself, you haven't got any military experience. Have you got any family out there or friends in the military?
Yes, I got a few. My friend Weston Bushman, Kenneth, Malik, one of my buddies I know that they work for the Army, so thank you for their service. And big shout out to all the soldiers out there that they're serving. Let us have fun what we're doing now.
All righty, fighting for our freedom. All right, big shout out there to Travis Browder
Thanks, Scott.
and the over-the-top M&M's. A lovely paint job, Travis.
Thanks, Scott. Thank you, John Hendrick.
Always a hoot talking to you, Travis Browder. All right, Joel, give me some fill-in, buddy.
Well, let's go to some facts about Daytona. The reason that it has a lake in the middle of it, Lake Lloyd, is they dug all the material to dig that lake that they dug out of that lake to build the 33-degree banking turns at Daytona. So that lake's pretty deep.
Nice. Do they allow fishing in that lake?
Oh, that lake was stocked with fish, so
Nice.
they could allow fishing in it. They actually hold water ski tournaments in that lake. It's so big.
Pace car is off, and away we go back to green flag racing.
And one little tidbit of information: when Lake Lloyd was built, there was no berm or anything to protect the car from going into the lake. And there was a couple of drivers that went into the lake. They didn't get in too deep, but there was one driver that he was scared to death that he was going to go into that lake so bad, and he couldn't swim, that he carried a full set of scuba gear in his race car when he raced at Daytona.
Nice. I did not know that.
Yeah, the driver was Tiger Tom Pistone.
No, you shouldn't have said that, because that could have been a fun fact. That would have been good for Becky to look up.
Oh, well, let's see if I can find something she can look up. Okay, here's one. Not just cars have gone into the lake. What else has went into the lake in Lake Lloyd at Daytona?
All right, Becky Whitmer and KMA TV race fans, a little bit of trivia here. Fun fact, name some objects that have gone into Lake Lloyd in Daytona. We know the two drivers have gone in there. Can you also tell me who those two drivers were? And what year? All right, we got a lot of stuff for the fans to look up right there.
Yeah, there's three things they can look up: who the drivers were and what year they went into the lake. And then there was something else that happened in the lake that's a second trivia question. I'll give you a hint on the second. Tiny Lund was involved.
Tiny Lund.
Yeah, and Tiny was not Tiny.
Is that a name?
That's a name. That was
Tiny
his
Lund.
name.
I thought we were talking body parts right there.
No, it was Lund, L-U-N-D, not Lund.
Travis Browder leading the most laps out here tonight, leading 42. Mark Jackson still in it to win it. Position 19, but unfortunately 1 lap down. Ivan Garcia 1 lap down. 17 drivers on that lead lap. 17th driver being Chris Hogue in the number 6. Chris Hogue started 3rd tonight, currently in 17th position as we march our way forward through this pack. Dustin Markham started 17th, currently in 16th, gaining 1 spot. Lee Staples started 6th, 15th position. Few losses right there for Lee Staples. Anthony Poston, 13th to 14th. Doing a pretty good job, very solid. And Lee Ryerson Jr. Started 9th, currently is in 13th. So we're not seeing a whole lot of drastic front to backers right now, Joel.
No, we're not. You're not going to. You're going to see. I mean, we got a bigger pack on in the outside line now than we've had all night. But they're not. You're not going to see a lot of people coming from the back to the front at this point in the race.
All right, we've got our first answer out there on that KMA TV chat. John Hedrick saying Tommy Irwin. Well, we'll get back to Tommy Irwin. Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm gonna cry. Ouch, ouch, damn, ouch. Joel, that hurt.
Yes,
that
was the big one.
We're gonna back this up and owie, damn. Let's get that moved up there to the front. Okay, we're looking at the number. Okay, we know the 117. Let me get those cameras on. Okay, the 117. Now, the 117's lap traffic. Now, we're going to watch the 117 and the number 78 of Donald Stewart. All right. Looks like the 78 turned the 117, nicked the 77. Wow. I want to look at that from blimp mode. We're going to look at that from blimp mode because I tell you what, that was wicked. Look at that top lane up there. 78 into the 117. Travis Browder, Jim Brown, they escape it. But my goodness gracious, that was a big one. Talk to us about that, Joel.
That was the big one. That took out almost the whole field.
So would you say that was on
backup cars?
Would you say that was on Donald Stewart or on the lap traffic of John Woodruff? I mean, because lap traffic, they got a right to run.
I would put that on lap traffic because he had a pack coming up behind him, and he should have moved high into the third lane to allow that pack to go by him, because he was there, but he was there with no help.
All right, well, I tell you what, we're not going to take that away from John Hedrick. John Hedrick, Tommy Irwin, first driver to drive into that lake. So a good job there for John Hedrick. John Henderson putting his input in there. Passing car is responsible. I tell you what, nonetheless, that was the big one. Let's get into chat in with one of these drivers out there. I think Cody maybe survived it. How about it, Cody? Are you alive?
I am barely alive, yeah.
Did you get caught up in it?
Definitely. I ended up keeping it off of most of the cars, but I ended up breaking the back end loose, coming off a fork, hitting the apron, and ended up demolishing the inside wall. I was able to make it back into pit road, and yeah, got lucky.
Well, the word on what's the word on the track there between the 117 and the 78? What are you hearing over the radios?
Over the radios, it's really kind of quiet over there. They're not really doing a whole lot of discussion on what happened, but we do know somebody ended up getting into somebody else, and it was a little bit of a hard contact and stuff like that. But really, it was just kind of a little bit of a hard racing deal, as far as I can understand. All
righty, copy that. Real quick, talk to us about tomorrow night and what me and you are going to be doing up in the booth.
Oh, tomorrow night's going to be all about PADD, P-A-D-D, People Against Distracted Driving. Always going to support PADD and everything it stands for. Tomorrow night we got quite a few laps at Talladega. Going to be a good race. Should be a pretty good show. Can't wait to get in the booth and continue to announce, man. It's going to be a blast.
All righty. Good luck to you, Cody.
Thank you.
All righty. So, Joe, we got a few differences out there. John Henderson talking about the passing car is responsible. Other drivers talking about lap traffic, needing to mind their P's and Q's. But I tell you what, either way it goes, no matter who's at fault, no matter who's to blame, if you're caught up in it, it don't amount to a hill of beans, does it?
No, it don't. A wrecked race car is a wrecked race car. Don't matter how it got wrecked.
All righty, get a talk in with Chris Hogue. I'm going to let you talk too, Chris Hogue. Go ahead, Joel.
Chris Hogue, you got a copy on me.
10-4, Joel.
How's your race been so far?
It's been a fun race so far. I've been having a good time out here.
Okay, well, tell us about your military experience.
Well, I'm a Vietnam-era veteran. I went in 1972. I stayed in until 1983 and then got out.
Okay, and you have a family member who's served or serving now?
Yeah, my nephew Sam, he served in the Navy and retired here about 4 years ago.
Well, that's great to hear that he got to retire, and glad. I want to thank him and you for your service to our country. And anything else you want to talk about?
No, I just want to thank all the drivers out here tonight, KMA TV for broadcasting the race, all the drivers, John Hedrick at Over the Top Paints and Designs for the paint on my car and a lot of cars out here tonight. Gary Whitmer of GW Graphics for doing the banners and stuff for the race. And for you guys up there in the booth for doing a fine job up there.
All right,
Thank
Chris.
you very much.
Chris, now I do have one quick question for you. What is your mentality now? We're talking about endurance out here. Normally in 2 laps, we're going to put this puppy to bed and go join our wives for a hot cup of coffee. But we're still looking at 51 laps to go. How you holding up?
Yeah, the way I feel right now, I can do another 150. I'm feeling great, Scott.
All right, you hear it here. You heard it here first. Next week, 250 laps of Daytona put on by Chris Hogue. You heard it here first. Good luck to you.
Thanks.
250 laps. I could not imagine that. That would hurt.
Scott, I have run 1,000 in one day.
Yo, you have. You lie. 150.
No, I don't.
1,000 laps in one day, continuously.
Not continuously, 2 different races.
Oh, no. Okay, so 2 500 lappers.
Exactly.
So I have 500 lapper. That'll take you. Wow, that's about a 6-hour race.
Yep.
That's a long one.
Not laps, 500 miles. It was at Daytona.
Well, we're talking laps here. We're talking laps.
I ran 2 Daytona 500s in one day.
We're talking laps here. All right, we are on lap 99 of lap 100 of 150. So we're down to 50 laps. We're looking about just under another hour. We're looking at 12 drivers still on that lead lap. Travis Browder, Ben Gear, Jason Russo, Dustin Markham, Lloyd Saunders still out here, Lee Staples, Cody Lipsker, Kevin Scott Nelson, Jay Dargut, Edward Bray in position 10. James Brown, blown caution is out. And I tell you what, I think driver fatigue is coming up as we look at James Brown in the 00. Ooh, contact between the number 6 of Chris Hogue and James Brown. Looks like Chris might have edged up just a little bit there into James Brown. Nonetheless, that'll be our 4th caution. Back to back. What do you think?
Cautions breed cautions.
All righty, I tell you what,
I hope our admins are telling the drivers settle down. We've still got 50 laps to go.
All right, well, I tell you what, we've got one more of those Salute the Troop commercials put up by Gary Whitmer. We're going to go on and get to that and take about a 30-second break. We'll be right back. And we are back at the Salute the Troops 150 lap 102 of 150. Going to take a quick look at our race summary. Our leader is Travis Browder, 102 in the books. 10 lead changes, 4 cautions, totaling out 14 laps. All right, Joel, give us a verbal race summary. Sum up the first 102 laps.
Well, the first 75 were great, all green flag, and then since 75, I think the drivers are beginning to get stressed out and tired from all the attention that they're having to pay to driving, and they're making little mistakes that are causing big wrecks. So we've had 4 cautions back to back in 25 laps, which I hope that's the last one, because I want to see some more green flag stops.
All righty, well, endurance will play a big part of tonight's race. Once we get back to green flag racing, we're going to be looking at 45 laps. So in a normal 100 lap race, we would be looking at lap 55, just past the halfway point. Right now, we are 2/3 of the way in. Travis Browder leading 53 laps out here tonight so far. And I tell you what, a lot of pressure out there on this young man. What do you think?
Definitely a lot of pressure on him. A lot of pressure on all the drivers. You consider they've run 104 laps, and plus all the practice laps beforehand. So you could be close to 150, 175 laps already run, and the race is not even over yet.
Going to be some tired monkeys tomorrow morning, I tell you what. And they got to come back tomorrow night for the race for PAD.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. When you look at a 100-lap race, in practice you might run 25, 30, maybe 50 laps. So that's a 150-lap race. 150-lap race, you run 175, anywhere from 50 to 75 laps in practice. Then you're talking more 200-lap race. So definitely, you know, anytime you up the laps of the physical race, you've upped the laps on the drivers because of the practice time they get.
All righty, good information right there.
Now, I got a question for you. Has anybody come up with any more things that's happened in Lake Lloyd?
All right. Yeah, we can't forget about that question. Well, we do know that Tommy Irwin was the first driver to drive into the lake. Go ahead and remind our fans about what the question was, Joel.
Something happened in Lake Lloyd involving Tiny Lund. And it has to do with things that have went in Lake Lloyd.
Probably sure a couple of helmets have gone into Lake Lloyd.
Has nothing to do with, I will give you a hint, has nothing to do with racing equipment.
And probably not fishing rods either.
Nope.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're looking for something that has gone into Lake Lloyd in Daytona. Go on and Google it. Get back with us. See who can come up with it first. In-car camera with Kevin Scott Nelson on our 4th restart. Looks a little bit different when you're in-car camera on these restarts, Joel.
Oh, absolutely, it looks a lot different, and that's the view you've got the fans seeing right now is what those drivers have been seeing every lap.
That inside lane below that yellow line, though.
Yeah, that's not cool. Getting below the yellow line is not cool, especially at Daytona. Talladega, you can flirt with that yellow line a little bit. You flirt with it at Daytona, you're going spinning.
Travis Browder out there on that front line. Jason Russo hanging tough tonight, along with Ben Gear, Lee Staples, Dustin Markham, Edward Bray, Jay Dargert in that number 22. Kevin down into that inside lane. Jay Dargett showing his support for the Marines on the rear end of that number 22, Mastercraft.
Yeah, they're getting to the point now where they're going to start moving the cars around and trying to get positions.
But is that due to exhaustion or antsiness? So I tell you, we still got a long way to go.
We got a long way to go, but they've got to figure out, now it's the point where they've got to figure out what they can do and can't do to take over the lead. And if they can't, if they can't figure out some way to get into the lead, then they've been running for 100 and some laps for nothing. Right. So the drivers are trying to figure out now how to get in first place.
All right, I think we have got a winner there. Joel Guy, in 1968, driver Jim Hurtebois landed his seaplane in the lake and walked over to the garage to run that year's Daytona. And that information put up by John Hedrick. Do we have a winner out there?
Yes, we do have a winner. I have one more trivia question for the lake.
All right, John Hedrick, 2 for 2.
Neil Bonnet and Dale Earnhardt were real close friends. They loved fishing. Dale Earnhardt saw a big bass in Lake Lloyd and wanted that bass. And he couldn't figure out how to get that bass to bite. Neil Bonnet did something and showed it to Dale Earnhardt so he could catch the bass. What was it?
Okay, could you repeat that question for me? Oh, well, caution is out. As it looks like, I don't know what happened here, 77 and the 1. You know, I'm not sure what has brought out that caution right there, Joel.
According to the chat on the radios that I've got in my other ear, it sounded like the 14 had a net code issue and blinked out.
Okay, but we're seeing the 14 rolling right along, strong and blue. So no caution really should have been thrown right there. Up there it is right there. There it is right there, the number 77 in the rear of the field. Let me get that down onto chopper view because we did indeed find it near the rear of the field. As the number 77 of Jack Watts. Ooh! Tough break there for the number 5. As Jack Watts comes down a little bit and takes a left turn, I think. Ooh! Tough break there. Jack Watts definitely changing lanes down and getting the rear end of the number 5. That had to have been some netcode issues. That is not like Jack Watts. That was in the rear of the field. Nonetheless, Jack Watts and Gary Whitmer Jr. involved in the 5th caution of the night. Both of these drivers, pretty sure they still have backup vehicles. So that was odd there, Joel, that you had mentioned the net code on the number 14. Could that have cycled all the way through to the rear of that field and caused a disruption there between the number 5 and the number 77?
It's possible. Anything with net code's possible. That's a electronic issue that, as long as you're running off of a server through phone lines and fiber optics, going from XY location all the way to up in Massachusetts where the iRacing servers are located, you're going to have netcode issues.
All right, Becky Whitmer talking about bats circling the hood of Earnhardt's car. John Hedrick verifying Earnhardt's hood after a wreck. Do you know what they're talking about? Does that help your bass question there, Joel?
Yes, it does.
All right, well, fill me in because I'm batty for an answer right now.
Earnhardt wrecked. The hood flew off. Neil Bonnet picked the hood up, brought it over, and put it underneath the spot where the bass was circling, and told Earnhardt all he had to do was pick his hood up and he'd have his bass.
Nice. All right, so Becky Whitmer, a little faster on the draw there than John Hedrick. So we're looking at 2 for John, 1 for Becky. I come here to a KMA TV race, I learn all sorts of stuff, I'll tell you what. Jason Russo out in front underneath our 5th caution of the night. Let's go chat in with Jason Russo and see how he's holding up tonight in this enduro race. How about it, Jason? Have you got a copy?
I got you, Scott.
How you holding up, buddy?
Yeah, we're doing pretty good tonight. It's been pretty calm. The first half of the race is great. Second half's getting a little rough, but we'll see if we can't keep it green here the rest of the way.
All righty. Now, talking about keeping it green, we're still going to have to make one more pit stop. Nice looking paint job there by Over the Top Paints and Designs in the Pro Automotive number 14 Chevy SS. You're going to stretch it out. You're going to burn it out, run it out. Going to go a few laps, get it in there, go for broke. What's your plan?
We got a plan, but we're thinking in the next few laps here. We're going to go green and come in a little early.
All righty. Talk to me real quick about Pro Automotive.
Pro Automotive, here for all your professional automotive needs. You can catch us out online at www.proautomotivema.com.
All righty. Good luck to you, Jason.
Thanks, Scott.
All righty. Now, I'm not going to say who this is from, but my phone is going off, and we do have a viewer talking about how that last caution looked a little bit intentional And I do have to say that I know that driver, Joel. You know that driver. And I will personally vouch that that was not intentional. I know it looked like the 77 took a hard left turn. I know what it looked like. But I tell you what, I've raced with that driver for 3.5 years. And I'm pretty sure must have been a net code thing. You know, there was one time I was racing, Joel, and my darn wheel came dislodged from my desk. My wheel came loose, and looking at it on replay, man, I took a right turn into somebody and, whoa, pissed everybody off that day. So,
I did it, Scott. You remember I had my little mini pin jump up on my arm.
Oh, I was going to say yours was puppy dog related.
And snatched my wheel, snatched my arm, and I took out the half the feel from it. No, there's, you know, all this stuff that we work with is electronics, it's mechanical, and then people are seeing what's produced from it on the screen. So somebody would think something's intentional because of a sharp movement, but netcode makes sharp movements. Or if you get, you know, if something happens to your wheel, I've had my wheel completely go out of commission, and the car just makes a left-hand turn because the cars are set up to make a left-hand turn already, and therefore when you turn loose the wheel, the car turns left automatically. So we're having to pull to the right to keep the cars going straight. And when that movement, when you lose that control of that wheel, that car is going to automatically turn left.
13 drivers still on this lead lap.
We have 13 drivers on the lead lap. Jack Watts is now in 13th, but he's still on the lead lap. And any one of those 13 drivers still has a chance to win this race. We won't know who's going to win until closer to the end, when you get down to like 5 laps to go. Then they start pushing for positions hard. Until then, it's still anybody's game. So we're just waiting now for the double back up and get a restart so we can get back to green flag racing.
All right, now, as a driver, you're the driver in the car. We've been in these cars now for exactly 2 hours. Physically, tell our fans what you're going through.
Well, physically, for over 2 hours, you've been turning the steering wheel and holding your foot flat on the floor on the gas pedal. Now, you might think that it's the easy thing to do, but most of these drivers have what we call force feedback wheels. So the wheel actually fights you as you try to turn it, because the centrifugal force trying to force you up the track. So you have to, you're getting wore out. Your arms are beginning to ache and throb, so you're getting tired and sore from all the exertion you're doing.
Well,
not to expand on the heat from sitting there for that long.
Well, not to even mention that under cautions, a lot of these drivers are sucking down their beverages. Hopefully it's Coca-Cola, but nonetheless, you have got the bladder issue to deal with. You know, in real NASCAR, they're equipped to deal with that stuff. Well, I don't know about you or me, but I'm not quite equipped with a catheter or anything like that. So after 2 hours behind the cockpit, a lot of these drivers, they're not only getting squiggly wiggly on that track, they might be getting squiggly wiggly in their seat.
Oh, absolutely they are. And you mentioned the real drivers and they're equipped for it. Well, what's equipped them for it is the inside of these cars get over 100 degrees, and you're sitting there in a sauna. So as much as they're they might be drinking, but they're sweating that drinking out. So having bladder problems is usually the least of a driver's concern because he's sweating so much.
Now, the next major event, Joel, that we're going to be working on will be our 4th annual Gobble 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 Turkey Dega. Date yet to be set. And then the big one of the year will be the Santa Dega. And I tell you what, we got to love our painters. We're going to work our painters very hard out there for the Santa Dega. Pretty sure John Hedrick might paint up a truck or two for that Santa, at least he better. I tell you what, last year Santa Dega was a huge hit. And John Hedrick did a wonderful job out there. I believe John Hedrick actually had to call in some help there along with Billy Wise. I think he painted up a few trucks there for that Santa Dega. So with 2 more big races coming up before we wrap 2017 up.
Definitely we got more big races. I'm going to have to get out my brushes and paint up a couple for the Turkey Dega and the Santa Dega race. I haven't had a chance to paint none in the last few months, so I'll have to break out my brushes and work on 1 or 2.
Jason Russo out there in front being pushed on by Ben Gear. Lee Staples, third car on that inside lane. Edward Bray still in it side by side with Tebow. All right, I asked you once before. I asked our fans once before. Now you can't say it's too early. I want you to tell me who you think is going to win tonight's Salute the Troops 150. My guy is still in it to win it. Kevin Scott Nelson. I'm not changing my tune. All righty, Becky. How about it, John? How about it, KMA TV fans? How about it, Joel Guy? You're not going to get out of this one here. Who you think is going to win it?
I'm gonna pick Edward.
You're thinking Edward Bray, and ladies and gentlemen, you can pick more than one. I don't. Edward's been picked. You can pick Edward too. I don't care. I am staying with the 224. John Hedrick voting for Travis. Becky Whitmer. Okay, so we got 2 votes for Edward, 1 vote for Travis, 1 vote for Kevin Scott. I tell you, Travis might have something going on that outside lane. He's just hanging there. Joel, do you think the cautions are over now?
I hope so. Won't say they're going to start getting aggressive here to get to the front very short time. So there could be another caution, but let's hope that they've got the cautions out of their system.
11 drivers still on that lead lap. Caution is out. I'm not seeing that caution, Joel.
I'm looking myself.
I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it at all. I'm not picking up any caution. I know the caution's out, but I'm not seeing any disruption down onto that track. We're going to let the cameras roll up there off that blimp mode. It's not up front. It's not in the middle. I'm still not seeing that caution. I do not know why the race officials threw that caution. We are on replay, and we are looking for that, as we are rewinding lap 122. And, well, gee, Joel, I'm a little stumped.
Me too. I'm all the way back to lap 121 and going forward.
Well, I'm fast forwarding up on lap 123, and I'm just, I am not seeing a caution. I am not seeing a caution. Well, I don't. Okay, well, maybe we can get a driver interview in because, well, I'm like supersonic fast forwarding now to catch up, and I am still not seeing any reason that they have thrown our next caution.
I don't see it either, Scott. I think that's one of them mirage cautions that NASCAR throws every now and then for debris on the track when the racing gets dull.
But you know what else is weird? We're still at 197 miles per hour. So the caution lights are on, Joel. Okay, this is really odd, folks. Okay, I am like, you gotta love iRacing. You gotta love iRacing because I tell you what, we're looking at the caution lights are on, but these drivers are still driving around at 198 miles per hour. And we got green flag pit stops. Big green flag pit stops. Caution lights. What's going on, Joel?
I don't know. It's caution lights on your side because I'm green flag on mine.
Oh, I have got caution lights on my. All right, you keep talking. I'm going to shut down my software and I'm going to jump this right back.
Okay, because definitely the green. They're still under green flag conditions on my.
I do not know why my software triggered that because I was showing. I'm loading back up right now. That was weird.
And we have Jason Russo in the lead now with the 29 of Ben Gear in second place. Cody Lipster in the 96, or no, I'm sorry. Travis Browder in the 18 is in third. Lee Staples holding down fourth.
All right, I tell you what, folks, my bad. For some reason, my software told me there was caution. My software lied. They lied to me. That's all right. Software lies. But we are underneath green flag. No caution has flown. That's kind of weird, Joel. We're going to have to get to the bottom of that. You're my tech guy. Fix that.
Yeah. Big Gear is taking over the lead. Jay Daggert's in second.
I tell you what, Jay
Nelson's in third.
But they haven't pitted yet.
No, they haven't pitted. So they're wishing for a caution. You can bet that.
I tell you, maybe my software.
Lap down just about.
Maybe my software is a little bit more sensitive than yours.
It must be.
I swear to God, I saw the lights on my screen. I seen it. I know the fans seen it.
Yeah, on my screen it didn't show up.
I think the software is getting tight. I told you this was an endurance race. I tell you what, though, what a race it has been, though. You know, 150 laps, 5 cautions in this KMA special event. That's not bad. But, you know, we are wrapping it up, Joel. And I don't want to miss the whole forefront of what tonight is all about. So I personally, one more time, I want to give a shout out to my brother Tony, served over there in Panama, Desert Storm. My sister Cheryl was over there building schools over in Afghanistan. Uncle Jerry, Aunt Mary, my nephew Jack out there on a boat. My young...
Not a boat, a ship.
A ship. My young niece Jordan last year got out of high school, went right into boot camp. And she sends us a picture flexing her guns, and I don't mean the ones that take bullets. That little girl, she buffed up. I tell you what, she had some guns up there on her arms. You know, big shout out there to the Army, the Navy, the Coast Guard, the Air Force, the National Guard. God bless the POW, the MIA. We're with you, brothers. Go on, Joel. Take it away.
And the one that you forgot, the United States Marines, simplify to all my Marine brothers and sisters that are out there, and thank you for your service to all our veterans that have served and the ones that have gave the ultimate. We salute you. and we bless you that you're in everlasting peace.
Some gave all. All gave some. Travis Browder on his way out of pit road. Now that'll put Travis Browder 1 lap down on a green flag pit stop. Now normally that would not be a problem, but right here, that's a problem. He's by himself. That's not good.
That's not good, but according to my numbers, he's not quite a lap down. He's right at 45 seconds down. Now he might drop to a lap down by getting past, but he's not a lap down yet.
Ben Gear, our race leader in pit road, James Brown taking the lead over, being pushed on by the lap traffic of Ivan Garcia.
Yeah, Ivan got into a problem early, and he hasn't been able to recover. So he's
here.
Multiple laps down. He's still here, but he's lapped down. Ben Gear leaving pit road, going back on track by himself. So he's going to be in a world of hurt on the track. I think you're going to find out that Jason, Edward, and probably Cody, maybe Don Stewart are going to all pit at the same time, and that'll be where your fight comes in.
Well, even Cody's up there. Okay, so we got Cody, Jason, Edward, Dustin Markham. Oh, come on, give my guys some help. Give some love to Kevin, because I picked Kevin.
Yeah, you picked Kevin, and Kevin's a good driver, and what you have to do at this point, if you don't hear when a group's pitting, is you just have to be ready to pit. So you set everything up that you think you want to do for that pit stop up right now while you're racing, and then when you see a group go down that you're in with, you go down with them and get on pit road, so you come back out with them and you stay in a pack so that you can run down the leaders.
James O'Brown relying very heavily on the lap traffic of Ivan Garcia. Lap 133 up 150 and 17 to go in the Salute the Troops 150, brought to you by Black Talon.
Yeah, I'm not sure when Edward's going to pit, or maybe he's already pitted and I didn't catch him, but he should have to, I think, pit before the end of this.
Cody Lipster leading that pack. Look at the damage on the front end of that 96. First off, loving the paint job. It's KMA original. Got that skull busting out that hood. But I tell you what, Cody, he's got some significant damage. Do you think that's going to cause a factor there with the number 14 and the number 66?
Well, number 14, number 66 right now are pushing Cody, and they're keeping him in front. But if they decide to go to the outside, Cody will drop like a rock because he's got too much damage on the nose.
But will they do that to Cody, though? Will they do that to Cody? But see, that's the question right there.
He's not a team partner to Jason or to Edward.
Well, he's part of KMA. He's part of KMA.
He's part of KMA. So right now we have 3 KMA members leading the race. Well, actually 4 KMA members.
But Dustin Markham, he's the odd man out.
Yeah, Dustin Markham, he's odd man out. Now, whether Jason and Edward keep pushing Cody to last lap and then they make their move to see who's going to win it between the three of them.
I think it's going to be a 3-wide.
I think so. I'm thinking so.
But they still got a pit, though, right?
I can't believe they waited this late to pit.
I haven't seen him pit.
I haven't seen them pit, but Edwards got something up his sleeve, I'm sure. Him and Jason's got something going. I don't know what it is, but they definitely have something going.
All right, big shout out there to Mike Seymour on the KMA TV chat. Big buddy too. Lee Ryerson Mike Seymour currently serving. So a big shout out there to Mike Seymour, friend of Lee Ryerson. Unfortunately, Lee Ryerson out. But I tell you what a job Lee did tonight. What a job. I'm not sure I would have been able to get through 112 laps. But Lee Ryerson did a great job out here tonight. Ran as long as he could. Wonderful job. We're looking at, in this endurance race, 9 drivers. James Brown, Cody Lipster, Jason Russo, Edward Bray, Dustin Markham, my guy, Kevin Scott Nelson, Lloyd Saunders out of Canada, Donald Stewart, Ben Gear still in it to win it. Anybody's game as of yet.
Definitely still anybody's game. We'll see here in a few laps who's going with who.
James very dependent. I am worried about James. Cody Lipster and company 20 seconds back from James. If James has pitted, if Ivan has pitted, James has got this wrapped up. I do not know those variables, Joel. I do not know.
I don't know if James. I think James has pitted, but I don't know if Edward and them pitted before him, and we just didn't catch it because maybe it happened while that fake caution come out that they pitted. I don't know.
John Hedrick changing his move for Jason R. Unfortunately, his original vote, Travis Browder, out for the night. So John Hedrick voting now for Jason Russo. And I would have to agree that Jason Russo has a very solid chance. But I tell you what, I wish I knew if James and Ivan had pitted. Because right now, well, I will tell you this, Joel. Ivan has been in this position with me. I was the leader. Ivan was lap traffic. Ivan pushed me to a win about 6 months ago. I just don't know if they've got enough fuel to get the job done with 10 to go.
I don't either. And like I said, if any of them pitted while we were looking for the caution that was not a caution, we wouldn't know it. So we don't, and we have no communication with them right now. So therefore, we can't ask them if they pitted yet.
Well, I could, but that'd screw them all up.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Now Cody and company, they've got it down to 17.5. 17.5 in 9 laps. If they are green flag, they're not going to make up 17 seconds in 9 laps. It's just not going to happen.
It might. 9 laps, 17 seconds.
All right, somebody's pitting this time.
00.
There he goes. There he goes. Pitting. All right, we've got some. All right, you see, I was not sure. So James Brown. Well, that's going to knock James Brown right out of contention.
Yeah.
Lap 142 of 150. Ooh, Ivan backing way up, but Ivan going with him. Ivan and James Brown into pit row. Nice entry into pit row. All right, well, James Brown and Ivan, they're out of contention. All right, looking to back out on Cody, Jason, Edward, Dustin, Markham, my guy, Kevin Scott, 27 seconds back. All right, now you're going to have to refresh my memory. Has Cody, Jason, and company pitted?
Have no idea. I haven't seen them pit, but like I said, if they pitted while we were searching for caution, we wouldn't know it.
Well, I know Kevin's pitted, so I'm staying with Kevin.
But as hard as they're running right now, I would say yes, they have pitted.
They're running like they got no worries in the world.
Yeah, they're turning close to 200-mile-an-hour laps. So I'm thinking they've already pitted, because if they hadn't, if they needed to pit and they were trying to make it without pitting, they would be backing down a little bit, especially now that James Brown has pitted in front of them, and they become the leaders with about 11-second lead.
All right, well, with 6 to go, now let's assume they have pitted. Is there anything Dustin Markham can do to pull this out? Because he's pretty much a lone wolf right now, back in 4th place.
My instincts tell me Dustin's bye-bye. It's going to be Jason, Cody, and Edward.
But the question is,
which sequence it'll be those three.
Now, see, right there, he's moving to that outside lane. I think he's trying to tempt Edward to go. He's saying to Edward, go. I'll go with you. Anything to improve my position by 1 spot.
Yeah, he's trying to get Edward to
bite.
Trick it to get Edward to bite, but Edward's not going to do anything until he's sure which person he wants to win. If he's not, now I know Edward wished that Lee was up there with him, so those two could team up together and go. But now the question is, does he stay with Cody or does he go with Jason? I know Jason's going to pull out. That's a known fact. Jason will pull out and try to pass Cody.
All right, Joel, since I did have to reset my software, you're going to have to remind me on the caution count. Now, we have been underneath 5 cautions. Is that correct?
I think 4 instead
4?
of 5. Yeah, I think it was 4. I think the 5th one was the
imaginary one.
Imaginary one.
Well, we do appreciate our fans hanging out tonight for 150 laps of not quite green flag racing, but it's been a good damn race, I'll tell you what.
It definitely has been a good race.
For a good cause.
For a good cause, and the drivers have been good. I can tell you from experience that long distance races, and like I said, with the equipment some of us drivers use, it fights us like a real race car. So you sitting there, you turning that wheel left for 2 hours, your arms begin to feel like rubber bands.
Well, we're at 2.5.
All that crash. And 2.5 makes it even worse. I mean, the longer you go doing it, the harder it is on your arms.
Well, we are at 2 to go, 148 and 150 in the books. All right, now, Jason tucking up on Cody. So right now, Jason's got to think, how bad do I want to win? Because if Jason goes around Cody and Ed doesn't go with him, he's screwed. Ed's position, he's going to get 3rd no matter what. It's a matter of who Ed wants to push to a win. Jason or Cody?
Well, if he pushes
There
Jason,
you go. There you go.
yeah, if he pushes Jason, Cody's not going to be.
Oh yeah, Cody's tore up.
He's tore up. See, he can't even stay in front of the Dustin Markham's 88 car.
Man,
So
tough break.
Now it's first and second for Jason and Edward.
Tough break for Cody.
Yes, it was. But that's racing.
That's racing. So we're looking at Jason Russo, Edward Bray, Dustin Markham.
Yep. Jason gets it. Second place is Edward Bray and Dustin Markham in third.
All right, so awesome job out here by Jason Russo, winning it out here tonight. Hang out, folks. We're going to get driver interviews in with these drivers. How about it, Dustin Markham, if you get a copy?
Yes, I do.
All right, third place tonight. How about it?
It was an uneventful night. I mean, we had a really good long run there at the start and had a few cautions there through the middle, but overall it was a really good race.
All righty, I tell you what, you knew you were back there, but you really didn't have a whole lot of help. So did you just like settle down and accept it? Or was there any hope when they went around Cody? Because Cody had some front end damage.
Yeah, I knew I had no chance of winning it, really. I was actually going to hope for push Edward to the win there for his event here, but overall, third's fine.
All righty, hell of a job tonight, Dustin. Have you got anything about the military you'd like to talk about?
Thank you for all the men and women that are serving our country right now.
All righty, thank you for your time, Dustin. Great job. All righty, Joel, I'm going to let you talk to Edward.
Edward Bray, you got a copy on me?
How's it going, Joel and Scott?
Going just fine. Fill us in on your second place finish.
I didn't know where I was going, to be honest with you. It was trying to make it, we had a little bit of a interesting end, and decided to come up with Jason and I have been, and with Lee Staples, we've been trying to work together all night and trying to get a 1-2-3 finish, and hey, we got a second place. It worked out. It was a great race tonight.
It was a great race. Anything you want to say about the military?
No, big shout out to all the veterans out there. They're still serving, still deployed. Big shout out to them. Big shout out to all the retirees and the ones that did serve. And hopefully we can bring back home the ones that we've lost and still looking for.
All right. Well, congratulations on your second place win, and thank you for your service and for sponsoring this race tonight.
Thanks, guys. Big shout out to you guys too for broadcasting tonight. I know it was a long race.
Yes, it was.
All righty, Jason Russo, have you got a copy?
I got you, Scott.
All right, now I've already talked to you one time tonight, so you got to dig down deep, brother. Tell me what's on your mind. Cody had some front end damage. We knew that Edward. Well, what I said was no matter what, Edward Bray is going to get a third. I did not realize that Cody's damage was that damn bad. Because when you went around him and Edward took you, and Dustin followed Cody, he may as well put that darn car in reverse. Did you know Cody's damage was that bad?
I didn't even know Cody had damage, to be honest.
Oh, he was tore up, brother.
We were just following. We were trying to finish that last 25, 30 lap sprint there, on the green. So we just kind of planned on playing follow the leader for a little while and see what we could do in the last lap, and it all worked out. But a big shout out to Ed Bray and Lee Staples for putting this race on for us tonight, and you, Joel, for broadcasting it. And good time. First half of the race was really good. You got some green flag pit stops in and made it work out at the end.
All right, now, real quick, I haven't talked about any of the military stuff. Have you got military experience? Have you got military family?
Family, yes. Actually, quite a few of my family was in the Air Force, and big shout out to all them and all of the veterans out there, and thanks for serving our country.
Alrighty, hell of a job, Jason Russo. Very impressive out here tonight. You didn't lead a whole lot of laps. You led 26, but you led the most important one, winning it in the Salute the Troops 150. Good job, Jason Russo, kicking some ass tonight. Jason, are you still here?
I'm here.
Go ahead, Joel.
Question for you. When did y'all last pit?
That last pit was on 125.
Okay, that was when...
That was the imaginary caution we had.
That was the imaginary caution time. That's why we missed it.
We had some software issues.
Okay.
Alrighty. Great job, Jason.
Good
Thanks,
job,
Scott.
Jason.
Alright, so Joel, you being the military guy, I'm going to let you finish us out and say anything that you'd like to say, because quite honestly, it's kind of important.
Well, I want to thank all the veterans. I want to thank all the people serving today for their service, and prayers go with all the veterans that gave the ultimate price, their life, for defending our country and our way of life. And hopefully, like Jason said, or Edward said, hopefully all the ones that were left in Vietnam in different places eventually come home.
Alrighty, good words right there. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you hanging out with us tonight. We'll take a quick look at those race results. What a race! 9 drivers out there on that lead lap. Jason Russo, Edward Bray, Dustin Markham, Cody, Kevin, Lloyd, Donald, Ben Gear, and James Brown. Longest race we've ever done, Joel. Did it in 2.5 hours. Not a bad night. All right, Joel, hope to see you tomorrow night in the monthly Race for Pad.
I hope to be in my pad truck and on the track tomorrow night. I got a little issue with my wheel tonight, so I couldn't run any practice laps at Daytona before broadcasting, so I've got some work to do.
All right, well, we'll check you out tomorrow night. All right, ladies and gentlemen, fans on KMA TV, I am Scott. He is Joel. We'll check you out on the flip side. Have a good night, folks.